You sat in the car in the driveway with the engine already off. The thing you had built your name on was gone. Someone took it, or it slipped, or it simply ended, and you called that the end of you. You were wrong about which day it was. That was not the day you broke. That was the first morning something started building you. You mistook the hammer for a wrecking ball. You keep telling the story like a wound. The call that came, the door that closed, the name that used to be safe and is not safe now. You say it broke you. You say it like a verdict handed down, like a sentence you have to serve. But the thing that nearly ended you was never punishment. It was material. It was the raw, ugly, unshaped ore that every strong version of you has ever been forged from. And you stood in the fire calling it a fire, as if that were the whole story. It is not the whole story. Fire is where a blade begins. Marcus knew this, not as a quote, as a man who lost almost everything he loved and had to rule an empire anyway. Hands shaking, writing to himself at dawn so he could stand up. He did not write, "This is fair." He did not write, "This feels good." Wrote something harder and colder and more useful than either. He wrote that the thing in his way was the way. You have heard that as a poster. He lived it as a survival tool. So sit in the driveway one more moment. Look at the wreck of the year, the loss you did not choose, the person who turned on you, the plan that died in your hands. Now stop asking why it happened to you. Start asking what it is for. Because the break was never the end of the build. The break was the build, and you have been standing inside your own forge, mistaking it for a ruin. Look at the man they later stamped onto coins, Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful person alive. Now take it all away in your mind, the way life took it from him in the flesh. A sickness moved through the empire and emptied whole cities. It reached his own house. Buried children. More than one. More than any measure a person should have to carry. He did not get to keep the people he most wanted to keep. Then the second blow. The one that cuts deeper than any illness. Avidius Cassius, one of his most trusted generals, a man he had lifted and honored, declared himself emperor while Marcus still lived. Betrayal wearing the face of a friend. The knife came from inside the tent, and for a long stretch, Marcus felt exactly what you feel. He wrote like a man convinced the sky was punishing him. He asked why the good suffer and the false rise. He lay awake with the same acid in his chest that keeps you awake now. He did not start enlightened. He started wrecked. That is the part they leave out when they hand you the polished version. And then, morning by morning, he did something with the wreckage instead of only bleeding under it. He stopped treating the blow as a sentence passed on him. He started treating it as the raw stock a life gets built from. That is not the same as pretending it was good. His children were still gone. The betrayal was still real. He never once wrote that it was fair. He wrote that it was usable. That single shift. From this is my punishment to this is my material. Is the hinge the whole rest of a life swings on. Is the difference between a man the loss finished and a man the loss forged. You are standing at that hinge right now. And which way it swings is not up to the loss. It is up to what you decide the loss is for. Say it plainly, once, so you never mistake it for a slogan again. The obstacle is not in the way of your life. The obstacle is the way. What blocks the road becomes the road. What was done to you becomes the thing you are made of. That is the one reframe. Everything else here is just learning to live inside it. Watch how it changes a scene you already know. The promotion that went to someone less capable. Told the old way, it is proof the world is rigged and you are owed. Told this way, it is the exact pressure that makes you build the thing no promotion could have given you. The relationship that ended in a way you did not see coming. The old telling makes you a victim of someone's cruelty, replaying the last conversation for months. The forged telling makes it the demolition that cleared the ground you were never going to leave on your own. Same event. Same facts. Nothing about the world changed. The only thing that moved was what you decided the event was for. That decision quietly rewrote everything downstream of it. This is where people confuse two very different tools, so be precise. There is a softer idea that tells you to love your fate, to embrace every blow as beautiful, to say yes to all of it with an open heart. That is a different path, and it has its own hour. This is not that. You do not have to love what happened. You do not have to call it beautiful. You will handle that other question another day. Today, the demand is smaller and harder. Not love it. Use it. Take the ugliest thing in your year and put it on the anvil and ask one question a builder asks. What can I make out of this that I could not have made without it? The loss is not asking to be loved. It is asking to be worked. Pick up the hammer. There is a rep Marcus ran before his feet hit the floor, and it sounds insane until you try it. Every morning, before the day could ambush him, he rehearsed the ambush himself. He sat and named, out loud or on the page, the worst things that could meet him that day. The ingratitude. The betrayal. The loss of what he loved. He walked straight toward the fear on purpose, in his own mind, while it was still quiet. The old word for it is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of what could go wrong. Your whole body will resist it, because you have spent years doing the exact opposite. Flinching away from the worst case, refusing to picture it, as if not looking could keep it from coming. Not looking never kept anything from coming. It only guaranteed that when it came at full force, and found you soft. So try the rep the way he ran it. Tomorrow, before you reach for the glowing rectangle, before a single message can reach you, sit up and name it. The client could walk. The person could leave. The plan could fall through. What you are most afraid of losing. Put it in front of you, deliberately, and hold your eyes on it. The first morning, it will feel like swallowing glass. Your chest will tighten. Good. That tightening is the fear meeting you on your ground instead of ambushing you on its own. Do it the second morning, the third. At the end of a week, something strange begins. The worst case stops screaming. You have looked at it so many mornings that it loses its power to detonate. You have already stood in the ruin in your mind and walked out and made coffee. A person who has rehearsed the loss cannot be controlled by the fear of it. And a person who cannot be controlled by that fear is free in a way most people never taste. You are not rehearsing to feel bad. You are rehearsing so the worst thing loses its grip on your hands. Marcus and the school he came from had a second rep, and this one you do with your body, not just your mind. They practiced hardship on purpose. Seneca, who walked the same road, told people to set aside days to eat the plainest food, wear the roughest clothes, sleep hard, and ask themselves the whole while, "Is this the thing I was so afraid of?" They chose discomfort while they still had the luxury of choosing, so that if it ever came unchosen, it would find them ready. You already have a lab for this. It is in your house. Turn the water cold at the end of the shower and stand there for 30 seconds while everything in you begs to turn it back. You are not doing it for your circulation. You are teaching your nervous system that you can stand inside something you hate and not run. That is a transferable skill, and you will need it for things far worse than cold water. Take the hard conversation first, before the easy ones, while your stomach is still in a knot. Message you have been drafting and deleting for a week. The one that tells someone a true thing they will not enjoy hearing. Send that one before you answer the friendly emails. Lead with the thing you want to avoid. Say the uncomfortable yes. Commitment that scares you a little, the one you would talk yourself out of by tonight. Say yes to it out loud, to someone who will hold you to it before your fear finds its footing. Every one of these is a small, chosen dose of the exact discomfort you have organized your life around avoiding. And every dose does the same thing to you that a small load does to a muscle. It tears you slightly. Then you come back thicker where it tore. Comfort is not the reward for a strong life. Comfort is the thing that quietly makes you unable to live one. You harden by choosing, in small ways, the hardship you could have skipped. There is a man you know. Maybe you have been him. He built a life with every sharp edge sanded off. He never has the hard conversation. He lets things rot quietly instead. He never sits in the cold. He keeps everything at a perfect 72 degrees. He never says the frightening yes. He keeps his commitments small and safe and reversible. From the outside, for years, it looks like he is winning. Nothing hurts him because he has arranged a life where nothing is allowed to. Then one real blow lands. It always lands eventually. A loss he did not order. A betrayal he did not see. The one thing he feared losing, gone. He shatters. Not because the blow was so much bigger than the ones you survived, because he never built the tissue that survives blows. He spent his whole life avoiding every small chosen hardship, and so when the large unchosen one arrived, he met it with a body and a mind that had never once been tested. This is the trap hiding inside comfort, and almost no one sees it until they are already caught. Comfort feels like safety. It is the opposite. Every discomfort you dodge is a rep you skipped, and the bill for skipped reps does not disappear. It just waits and compounds and comes due all at once on the worst morning of your life. The soft life is not the safe life. The soft life is the fragile one. You are not protecting yourself when you flinch from every hard thing. You are disarming yourself, slowly, and calling it self-care. The man who chose small hardships his whole life looks, on an ordinary day, less comfortable than the man who avoided them. But watch them both on the day everything breaks. One bends and holds. One snaps. The blow does not choose which of them you become. The years of small choices before the blow already chose it. You are making those choices right now, in the things you are letting yourself avoid. Now think about the ones who were watching when you fell. You know who they are. The rival who smiled a little too fast when your news got out. The people who said, "What a shame" in public and something else in private. The ones who had already written your ending, quietly certain that this was the blow you would not come back from. They were not cruel about it, most of them. They were just waiting, settling in to watch you confirm what they suspected. They did not account for one thing. They were watching for the snap. They had no idea they were about to watch a forging. Every morning you rehearsed the fear instead of running from it. They could not see. Every cold rep, every hard conversation taken first, every frightening yes, visible to them. All the quiet work happening inside the wreck looked, from the outside, like a man simply sitting in a wreck. So they kept waiting for the collapse. And then, slowly, the thing they were sure was finished starts to rise. Steadier than before, harder to rattle. Carrying the loss like a man who has made something out of it instead of a man buried under it. And the faces change. Smug settles into confusion, and the confusion into something quieter, and some of them realize, too late, that the moment they were sure would break you was the exact moment that built you. That is the whole secret they will never understand. The power was never in what happened to you. The power was always in your response. And your response was the one variable they forgot to count. If you have ever been the one they gathered to watch fall, subscribe, and let this be the channel that is with you while they find out they bet against the wrong man. Let them keep watching. Let them witness the rise they were sure they would never see. Their certainty that you were finished is about to become the most useful fuel you own. Because nothing sharpens a man like proving a spectator wrong. Go back to the betrayal. Because Marcus did something with his that shows you exactly what treating a blow as material looks like in the flesh. Avidius Cassius had declared himself emperor. By every rule of that world, Marcus had the right to rage, to promise vengeance, to make the traitor an example. His generals expected it. The empire expected it. The easy human thing was to let the wound become hatred and call the hatred justice. Instead, Marcus took the betrayal to the anvil. He said, in effect, that he hoped to capture Cassius alive, not to break him, but to forgive him. He treated the worst personal blow of his reign as raw stock for the exact virtue he most wanted to build, mercy that could survive being wronged. The betrayal did not get to decide who he became. He used it to become more of what he already meant to be. That is the rep. Not gritting your teeth until the bad feeling passes. Taking the specific shape of your specific wound and asking what specific strength it is uniquely able to build. Cheated by a partner? That is the raw material for a discernment you would never have developed if everyone had been honest with you. Abandoned when you needed someone? That is the exact stock of self-reliance is forged from that no comfortable man will ever possess. Humiliated in front of people whose opinion you wanted? There is the ore for a freedom from other people's eyes that most will chase their whole lives and never reach. The wound is not generic, and neither is its use. Look at the precise thing that happened to you and ask what precise capacity it is handing you the material to build. Then go build that thing on purpose, out loud, starting this week. Marcus never got Cassius back, and he never got his children back. He got something the blow could not take, and could only give, a self that had been through the worst and come out with more, not less. The ore was ugly, the blade was not. There is a particular freedom on the other side of the rehearsed fear, and almost no one gets to feel it, because almost no one is willing to walk toward the thing they dread. Name the one you are protecting right now, the thing you are most afraid of losing. For one person, it is a relationship. For another, it is a reputation. For another, it is the security that lets them sleep. Whatever it is, notice how much of your behavior is secretly organized around not losing it. How you shrink. How you agree when you want to refuse. How you swallow the true sentence because saying it might risk the thing. That fear is a leash, and the person holding it is not you. Now run what Marcus ran. Sit with the loss, in full, in your mind. Let it happen on the inside. The relationship ends. The reputation takes the hit. The security is gone. Do not flinch away at the last second. Stay, and watch yourself in the aftermath. And notice the thing that survives it. You, still here, breathing, able to make coffee and take the next step. Smaller, maybe, but not erased. Something quiet happens when you truly see that. The worst case stops being an abyss and becomes a place. A hard place, a place you would not choose, but a place with ground under it, and a version of you still standing on that ground. And the leash goes slack, not because you stopped caring, because you stopped being owned by the fear of losing. That is what the morning rep is actually for, not to make you cold, to make you free. A man who has already lived his worst case on the inside cannot be steered by the threat of it on the outside. He says the true thing. He refuses the wrong deal. He walks away from what he cannot keep with his self-respect. Fear of losing runs most lives. Walk into it on purpose, enough mornings, and it stops running yours. So here is the practice, stripped to things you can do before this week is out. Not ideas. Reps. Each one deliberately leaves something unfinished, because the loop that stays open is where the growth lives. The message you keep drafting to defend yourself. The one that would explain, justify, get the last word, make them understand. Write it, and leave it unsent. Sit in the discomfort of being misunderstood and not fixing it. That silence is a rep. The need to be understood by everyone is one of the softest muscles you have, and every unsent defense makes it stronger. The argument where you are one sentence away from winning. Leave the call without the last word. Let them think they had it. Walk out with the point unspoken and feel how badly you want to reach back for it. That wanting is the tear. You come back thicker. The cold at the end of the shower. 30 seconds, no bargaining, while everything in you negotiates for warmth. Do not turn it back early. Leave the discomfort running longer than is comfortable. The point is not the cold. The point is becoming a man who does not obey the urge to make it stop. The frightening yes you have been avoiding. Say it today, out loud, to someone who will remember. Then leave yourself no exit. Let the commitment sit there, unhedged, slightly too big for who you are right now, so you have to grow into it. Notice the pattern. Every rep leaves a loop open, a defense unsent, a point unspoken, a discomfort unended, a commitment unhedged. Comfort is the constant closing of loops, the rush to resolve, to explain, to warm up, to be safe. Strength is the willingness to leave the loop open and live in the tension. You do not need all four this week. You need one, done for real, more than once. Pick the one that scared you most as you read it. That fear is not a warning. That fear is the address of the work. There is a cage that looks exactly like grief, and men live inside it for years without noticing the door was never locked. It is the story, the one you tell about what was done to you. At first the story is true and necessary. You were wronged, and naming it is how you stay sane. But somewhere the story stops being a record and becomes a residence. You move in. You furnish it. You start introducing yourself by your wound. This is the thing that happened to me, and it explains everything I have not done since. Watch a man in that cage. 10 years after the betrayal, he is still cross-examining it, still assembling the case, still waiting for an apology that would finally let him begin. He has handed the key to his entire future to a person who wronged him once and has not thought about him since. The one who hurt him got a bad afternoon. He gave them a decade. That is the difference between using the blow and being used by it. Marcus lost more than that man ever did and refused to move into the story of it. He wrote his pages at dawn and then stood up and governed. The loss was real, and he let it be real. And then he put it to work, instead of building a house inside it. You can tell which one you are doing by a single question. Is this making me? Or is it just replaying? A wound you are working becomes material. A wound you are only narrating becomes a cage. And the crueler joke is that the cage is comfortable, because a grievance asks nothing of you but that you keep feeling it. The door was never locked. It only felt locked because walking out means putting the story down and picking the hammer up. Set down the case you have been building against your life. What you fear losing by letting the story go is the very thing keeping you small. Turn to the driveway, months on. Same car, same house, different man in the seat. The loss did not reverse. What ended is still ended. The person who turned on you did not come back and undo it. Nothing about the facts of that year got kinder. If you were waiting for the world to apologize before you rose, you would be waiting still. But you did not wait. Morning by morning, you ran the rehearsal until the fear went quiet. You took the cold and the hard conversations and the frightening yeses until discomfort stopped being your master. You put the betrayal on the anvil and made discernment out of it. You set down the story and picked up the work. None of it announced itself. It just accumulated in silence, the way muscle does. Invisible on any single day, undeniable across a season. Now the man in the driveway sits differently. The thing that once made his hands shake, he can hold and look at directly. The people whose opinion used to steer him have quietly lost the wheel. The worst case, the one he could not even picture a year ago, he has walked through 100 mornings and out the other side. He is not pretending it did not happen. He is standing on it. That is the after, not a man who avoided the blow. A man the blow made. And the strange, almost unfair truth is that he is more than he was before it landed. Not despite the worst thing in his year, but out of it, because he treated it as the one thing it was always secretly offering to be. Material. Look at the two of you side by side. The one in the driveway on the first night, certain it was the end of him. The one there now, forged. Same event sits behind both. The only thing that moved between them was what he decided the event was for. You have made that decision before, badly, without knowing you were making it. You are making it again right now. And this round, you know. Be careful here, at the end, not to round this off into the wrong lesson. Because there is a softer, warmer idea standing nearby, and it is easy to collapse this into it, and you will lose the whole edge if you do. That other idea says, love it. Say yes to all of it. Look at the worst thing that happened and find it beautiful, necessary, secretly a gift. It is a real path with real power, and it belongs to another discussion, and it asks something of you that today does not. Today did not ask you to love the loss. Go back through everything you just walked. Not once were you told the betrayal was beautiful. Not once were you told to be grateful your children of effort, your years of building, were taken. You were never asked to call it fair because it was not fair, and pretending otherwise would have been a lie your body would have known. You were asked to do the harder, colder, more honest thing, not to love the fire, to use the fire, to take something you would undo in a heartbeat if you could, and you would, and there is no shame in that. Refuse to let it be wasted. That is the line to hold. A man who loves his fate has made a certain peace. A man who uses his fate has picked up a certain tool. You can arrive at the peace someday, on your own road, in your own hour. Right now, you need the tool, because the tool is what gets you off the driveway and back on your feet. Pain as material does not require you to be glad it happened. It requires you to be unwilling to let it happen for nothing. Those are different vows, and the second one is available to you tonight, even if the first one is years away. You do not have to love what broke you. You only have to refuse to let it break you for no reason. But refusal is the entire craft. So this is where it leaves you. The year that nearly ended, you did not come to punish you. It came, in the only clumsy way a life has of delivering these things, carrying the raw material of the strongest version of you that has ever existed. It handed that material to you disguised as a catastrophe, and waited to see what you would do with it. Most people do nothing. They stand in the forge and feel only the burning. They write the story of the fire and move into it. They spend the rest of a life explaining with total accuracy why the fire was not their fault. And they are right, and it changes nothing, and the ore cools into slag in their hands. You are not going to be most people. You are going to run the rehearsal every morning until the fear you are carrying loses its teeth. You are going to take the cold and the hard conversation first, and the frightening yes in small, deliberate doses, until discomfort is a thing you use instead of a thing that rules you. You are going to put the ugliest event of your year on the anvil and ask the only question a builder asks. What can I make of this that I could not have made without it? The ones who gathered to watch you fall are going to witness, instead, the slow and undeniable rise of a man they were certain was finished. Not because the world went easy on you, because you refused to waste what the world did. Go back to the driveway one final moment. Engine off. Wreckage all around you. And understand, finally, where you actually are. Not at the end of the build. Inside it. That heat is not consuming you. It is shaping you. The blow was never the thing that broke you. It was always the thing that was building you. Pick up the hammer. The ore is still warm.